What is up YouTube? Today I have a Borderlands 3 build of you guys, and for this one we are looking at one of the strongest pet flag build, Killer Queen. This build was originally made by Boombumr and it is trying to utilize Spiderant Countess and its raw power of the attack command in order to deal 100 million of damage. It also is using hollow point because the pet can crit a lot. So hollow point is really great here. If you don't know, hollow point is double dip, so you will be dealing an insane amount of damage to those red bosses. Before the video starts, don't remember to like, share, sub to the channel. If you haven't done that already, comment down below on what you think about the video. Join the Discord server if you want to get the SaveFile or just want to have a chat with me. With that being said though, let's get into the build breakdown. For the gun, firstly I'm using a rest. This is so that I can revive my pet easier. The Guardian Angel, this doesn't actually help the pet damage, but it increase your hollow point damage even if the pet proc it. Try to get a Terrify rate annoy on this because it would provide you with some nice sort of V1 damage. EMP5 is for moving around, Psycho Stabber, E for your own melee stuff, which the old build were trying to do that, but in my version I focused way more into the pet, so this might be not necessary, but it is still nice for some fish slap stuff. I'm also using a Zycep Eruption. This is a necessary, but if you are lacking in damage, I always recommend you fighting one of these in order to greatly increase your damage. I already made a video on this gun, so you can maybe check it out. Moving on to the shield, I'm only using one shield here, which is a quad with double Roy, so that it gives you extra 300% melee damage. And we are also specking in Texas, where the pet get a copy of our shield, so whenever the pet, so we are also giving the pet 300% melee damage, which is really insane. For the class mod, there are a few options that I consider pretty interesting. The first one is a Red Fang. This is the best one for mobbing situation or running down takedowns or just in general, because this would provide you with a lot of survivability. The pet is very tanky and it can draw aggro away from you with this class mod, so your survivability increase greatly using this class mod. But other than this, you can also use a raw reversal, which has as much point into Throat Ripper as possible because that increase your pet crit chance. The regen grenade ability on this class mod is somewhat useful because I'm also spamming singularity grenade, which I will explain later. The bounty hunter is just so that you can proc your skill easier, but I don't really recommend you using this because we aren't shooting that much in this build. But if you can afford to do your shooting, this will boost your damage nicely. Deadeye, this buff both of your pet damage and job damage, and this is V2, so it is most likely multiplicative to all of your other formulas, so it can be very useful for those hollow point kills because this actually double dip with hollow point and the pet. For the passive, you would want to get splash damage radius. This would help your hollow point reach. Splash damage is for hollow point, and the third stat can be melee damage. The melee damage wouldn't buff the pet, but it would help your own melee stuff, which if you are using nice. But the splash damage and splash radius is something you should be looking out for. For the grenade, I'm using a non-sticky quasar because this can create a singularity that pull enemies close together. The reason why we need to have singularity in this build is so that the hollow point can actually hit another enemy. So for example, when I'm fighting a boss, I need to throw a singularity in order to pull the smaller enemy towards the red boss and then kill the smaller enemy, and the hollow point can proc near it, so you end up dealing the hollow point damage to the red boss. using this singularity in the cases where enemy are that close, which do happen quite a lot when you are doing true trial. You can use either a non-sticky quasar. The stick one will make it proc a lot slower, but a non-sticky one will make it proc the singularity instantly. You can also get a triple singularity or even double, or even a single part of singularity can be great here. It must have to be non-sticky and preferably blood off so that you get a better throw and aim. Also, get a low level one so you don't accidentally kill the small targets that you are trying to proc hollow point off. I'm also using a fish lab. This is for those single target damage if you find yourself in a situation where there aren't any other enemies to proc hollow point. This can be a great help. It deals really decent damage, and with flag and their insane formulas, we can get a lot of uses out of fish lab. I just don't use it regularly because that is not the point of a pet build like this. For the amulet, the main one that you are using is a spark plug artifact. The legendary part doesn't matter here. You just need to get a spark plug because it allows you to proc melee, generate terror annoy, and that is very important because of terror fire rate and this annoyed, which say after using attack command, consume all terror and flag pet gain 200% bonus fire damage for a short time, and that is a lot of damage for your pet stuff. So spark plug you can just slam once and there are a lot of terror stack coming your way. The spark plug by itself can also deal a lot of damage, and it also proc ground breaker if you are also using that skill, so like even more damage. Like if you have enough gear, this can single-handedly handle the single target situation. Other than that, I'm using a cut purse white elephant. This is for your regular melee stuff like the fish lab, or like previously I include the face puncher here. I also have a knife drain version if you want to have more survivability. Snowdrift victory rush is for moving around. For the passive, you would want area of the effect damage in a second slot because that would also provide with some extra area radius. And get some melee damage on here too, but it isn't really necessary. The only one that matters is AoE damage. Moving to the skill tree, we start with the blue skill tree where we are putting 3 points into Persistent Hunter for more action skill duration, which help with our Gamma Burst and Red Fang. Go for the eye is so that our pet first melee attack is automatically a crit and it gains some extra bonus too. So this can make the pet consistently proc hollow point, assume that it can kill the enemy on the first hit. Note that the crit listed on Go for the Eye is fake crit, so it doesn't get increased by stuff like the most dangerous games or Monkey Do, but it is still nice to have. It buys is so that whenever pet take damage, the pet returns some of the damage to the attacker to improve our pet survivability, frenzy for more pet damage, and V1 damage, which both have the hollow point tackle head on a stick for more pet movement speed and damage. I have my is so that we get more survivability and the pet get to do bonus damage. Interplanetary Stalker for a lot of buff, honestly, pet damage, V1 damage in general. Hunter Eye is so that we gain various bonus against different type enemies. Leave no choice is to move down the skill tree. Same with second intention. Big game is so that we increase our hunter skill duration and effects, which is very beneficial to the most dangerous game. The reason we go all the way down here is to get both Spiderant Countess and the most dangerous game. This skill provides you or your pet a lot of bonuses like crit damage. This also applies to the pet. I have just learned that recently, and a lot of pet damage. To the green skill tree, we put some point in cell repairing system to move down the skill tree and for more survivability. Trigger is for increased attack command damage and attack command damage cooldown is reduced. And that is pretty nice and noticeable in this build. Eager to Impress is a very important skill because it says that whenever flag pet kill an enemy, the attack command is refreshed, which means you can spam the attack command if you are able to kill all the enemies, if you have enough damage, that is. It will help the gameplay be really fun for me personally. Lick the Hoon, I'm debating on whether or not to take this skill because this is a very risky skill where you can accidentally make your pet disappear forever. Let me explain. When you command an attack the pet or the Spiderant Countess, in this case burrow under the ground, and if you happen to die while the pet is underground, it will stuck there, but it still revives you, but it will stuck there and do no damage, and that is very detrimental to our build. So just be careful when you are speccing into this skill and time your attack command correctly so that you don't die right after it. Like if you know you are going into 5 line, don't command any attack command. Just let your pet revive you and then attack command after. To the purple skill tree is the most important skill tree for this build, so if you don't have the DLC for it, just skip to the next build. To go fast is for more pet damage and pet movement speed. Agility training to move down the skill tree, but it also provides some nice reload speed to flag. Throat Ripper, very important skill. It would provide the pet with a true crit chance so that it can proc hollow points and just straight up double their damage. Combat Veteran is so that pet get more survivability. Take this is for the watch shield on our pet, which means 300% of melee damage. Monkey Do for extra crit damage to our Throat Ripper. Again, it doesn't buff the Go for the Eye because Go for the Eye affect crit. For our pet loadout and action skill loadout, I'm using a Spiderant Countess because different to most of our pet, this pet attack command actually deal elemental damage. So in my opinion, this is the best pet to use for raw damage in this build. I'm using Gamma Burst with Endurance so that get more action skill duration, and Atomic Aroma so that our pet deal a lot of damage, and it also get crit chance from Throat Ripper and it is considered as pet damage, so it can create some really great rush explosion and also proc hollow points because it can crit. For the general playstyle of this build, for mobbing you just want to like command your pet attack toward enemies, especially some group of enemy because of hollow point. Be careful again, if you know you are going down, do not command the attack because you are risking yourself from making the pet bug out and disappear. For the bossing, try to get smaller enemies closer to the boss and then attack command that enemies, that smaller enemies in order to proc hollow point and deal a lot of damage. Also hold the Guardian Angel there because of the 500 V2 damage also apply to hollow point. The way you can get the smaller enemy closer to the boss, the best way I have found is to use Singularity Grenade, but if you have any idea, remember to comment down below. So that is it. Hope you find this video useful. If you did, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Comment down below on what you think. Join the Discord server and see you guys next time.